Hey everyone, we're TowawayCouple. I'm Tom, the driver.
And I'm Bunny, and I have no idea.
No idea.
I might have heard that somewhere.
You might have. So we just wanted to do a quick intro because we just put up 2 videos, RV transport equipment and auxiliary tanks, toolboxes, and combos that we filmed over at Dan's Hitch. And while we were there, we were doing the RV equipment. And when we got to the weight distribution bars, Dan himself came in.
Yes, Dan the man.
Dan the man. And he actually explains the weight distribution bars in better detail. So we spent almost 6 minutes doing 2 different weight distribution bars. And we thought instead of putting that with the other video, which would have gotten lost in the 30-minute video, we wanted to put it on its own video. Dan did a video on YouTube. I watched it over 2 years ago on how to actually hook up weight distribution bars. And we will link that video down in our description. So if you want to watch that video in its entirety, go to our description, read the description, and in there will be a link to Dan's Hitch weight distribution setup.
Right, and even if you think, oh, I already know how to set them up, there's so many little pointers in there that you might not have thought about.
You know, I've been pulling trailers for 34 years, travel trailers, fifth wheels, everything. And I've been using weight distribution bars. I was doing it wrong. I was just muscling them up. It wasn't until I seen his video about raising the bumper, and we talk about it in this video a little bit, that it's so much easier.
100% easier.
And these videos are good for a lot of our semi-truck over-the-road drivers because, you know, hooking up to a 53-foot trailer on a fifth wheel, some of the guys we talked to have not really pulled travel trailers, so they didn't really understand the weight distribution bars.
So, like I said, and even if you watch it, it's just a refresher. It's a refresher, and it's going to get that mind working again.
Well, so after we did that a little bit with Dan, we talked to him. Periodically, when we're in town, we're going to meet up with Dan over at Dan's Hitch, and we're going to do more videos with Dan explaining his years, 35 years of experience.
Longer than that.
Well,
longer than that.
59 years experience. But he's going to explain all of his experience on different things. So if there is something you want to know about and why it's a certain way, send us a message here on YouTube, and we'll include that into our thoughts when we talk to Dan.
Right. So, should we watch the video now?
Let's watch the videos. Be right back.
We ran into Dan, and Dan is the man.
The OG.
The OG.
Oh my.
And he has got many years of experience doing this. So I'm going to let him go right ahead with his weight distributions.
All right. So appreciate you being here. It is about safety, safety, safety. It is about my truck, my truck, my truck. If I have 1,000 pounds hanging behind my truck and it bounces up and down, rolls side to side, and I want to stop that, I'm going to use weight distribution. How do I do that? I use a set of glorified wheelbarrow handles, spring bars if you want to call them that. I hook them on the back of my truck. I pick up on them hard enough to put roughly 500 pounds of that 1,000 up on the rear axle, the other 500 pounds back to the trailer axles. In order to do that properly, I have a school program that I use to do that. But weight distribution is how you do that. This one is quick and easy. Simple. You use chain, snap up on the frame to make it happen with a little bar. You're actually going to jack the back of the truck up roughly 3 knuckles, 3 inches to hook that bar up. Then when you leave the weight down on the truck, you're going to double check to make sure that the weight distributed properly. That's it on this one. So terrific. This hitch actually offers 4-point sway control as well as the weight distribution that we just talked about on the other one. When it is hooked up, you see the additional tilt on the ball mount, and the spring bar is going to have a lot of bow in it when you're hooked up properly, and the chain is captured inside of the bracket. So now when the weight is distributed up on the truck, back on the trailer, rather than still allow you to swing it around the ball, it's going to move as a unit because it keeps itself centered. It drives the load to the center, and keeps it from swinging around the ball. You can still steer around the ball, which we give an extended weight distribution schooling if you buy your product here, so that you know how to do this when you have it. That's what we do.
Right. Now, I will do have to say that when we bought ours here, Tom and I both sat through it, and you learn something new every time you sit through it.
So I do have two questions.
Sure.
All right, so I don't know if it's a misconception. I used the first set with the chains. This one actually has a different setup, and I've seen people where they've actually bolted to the actual frame, where I kind of like just to hang and go. I've heard, and I don't know if it's true, so I'm going to ask you, is there sway bars built into this?
This has sway control built into it.
Built into it.
And it is basically because they bow a lot and they drive the load to the center, and rather than be able to turn and swing the bar outside to side, it is captured inside of the bracket.
Okay.
The one that you're referring to that actually has friction, 4 points, has a bolt that tightens it here, and when you put it on back here, it has a slide that it slides on, so that now it has friction here, and that is a little more difficult to set up because you have to bolt and make sure that you get the bar at the right height to be able to distribute the weight, as well as still then have the friction, and it clamps over the frame, and you need to make sure you have it Guten tight on the frame so it doesn't slide on the frame in the process.
And with all the different manufacturers, if you're doing RV transport and where they put their boxes, their controls, their propane tanks, you got to be able to adjust for all that.
Yes, and you know, you have some that have the coupler on the bottom rather than the top. It means you got to put those brackets upside down to make it happen. Where on here, most commonly we're hanging like 8 to 9 lengths loose. Right. If you're pulling a 24 footer, you might be only hanging 8 lengths loose. But if you go to a Jayco 34 foot or longer that has a bottom coupler on top of a 6-inch frame, so now the frame bracket's up here, rather than hanging 9 loose, you're going to hang 5 loose. So you just change the chain length that you use. It still offers all the benefits that it had with sway control, self-centering, all that, without having to do all the nuts and bolts.
Right, and I don't like all the nuts and bolts.
Yep.
And one thing that Dan, when I got into this over 2 years ago, I stumbled across a video of this guy on how to do everything. And they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I was just telling Dan, I got 34 years pulling trailers. And 2 years ago, I learned that you jack the tongue up to put your weight distribution bars on 3 fingers, and then lower it down and measure and make sure everything is correct.
Use the trailer jack to jack the back of your truck up that 3 inches.
Manhandling them.
and probably breaking brackets and still not getting the job done.
Exactly. So you learn something new. So when you come in here, this guy's been in this business since 1959, you said?
63. I put the first date on 63, 59 years ago.
59 years ago. So when you come into Dan's Hitch, he's always floating around here, ask him questions, and you actually do TowAway. You still do TowAway today?
Not on a regular basis. Yes, I'll tow a vehicle to wherever, Florida in particular. I like that a couple times a year maybe.
So he's not just selling trailer parts or towing parts, he's actually one of the transporters with many years of knowledge. And that's why people come to us, they look for people like you with knowledge.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, we're going to continue on our store tour, and we're going to come back with Dan probably in the next couple of weeks when we get back and do a lot more in-depth videos with him.
Perfect.
We'll have more questions.
Thank you.
And welcome back to our YouTube studio. We wanted to say a personal thank you to Dan for taking out his time to do a video with us. That was really cool. And I've been using the first weight distribution hitch. I like the chains, I like the hangers, as you've seen in the video. And after seeing the blue ox, I am leaning towards our other truck getting the blue ox system, because the sway control on a single rear wheel.
Right, even in the short bed at that, it's going to make it a lot more stable.
Right, so I'm looking into the blue ox right now, and I will be doing a video follow-up later on my thoughts on the blue ox.
So like you said, we want to thank Dan so much for helping us. That was a great surprise when he said that he wanted to do that.
I gotta stop Bunny from hitting the table because our microphones are on the table. Take a second if you want. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We post not just pictures of RV transport, but behind the scenes of our lives, our real lives that we lead. We don't just post pictures of our trucks and trailers.
Nope.
And we have a RV Transport for New People group on Facebook. Feel free to join that because there's a lot of people in there that have a lot of experience in transporting RVs, as well as new people asking questions that you may have not have thought about. We don't know everything. We just base our opinions on what has worked for us, but we're always learning something new every single day.
If we're not learning something new, then we're not actually doing our job.
Right. So as I always say, don't take our opinion. Ask 5 other people. You might resonate better with somebody else. Or if you do, tell us because we don't want to give out bad information.
No.
All right. So until next time.
We'll see you down the road.
We'll see you down the road.